Hi, it's me again. I'm back with another video. I had to update this microphone, but basically this is the second part of the series that I am reviewing, which is Eyewitness. So the first part I covered episodes 1 through 6. This is going to be the completion, the finishing, which is going to cover episodes 7 through 10. Fasten up, buckle your belts. We're going to break things down, go over things thoroughly, and have fun. All right, let's continue. So then on to episode 7. So then on to episode 7. We open with Helen wanting Lucas to recant everything that happened. They go to the shed and she's recording and she wants to do a walkthrough with him. And he admits the hookup, obviously, because he's like, bro, I'm not coming out. Like, the closet is made out of a cast iron cage. Like, you're not getting this out of me. Like, I'm not telling anybody I'm gay. He keeps talking about how he only stole gas. So he's still sticking with that shoddy ass story that even she pointed out doesn't really make sense, because why would there be gas at the cabin when there's cabin before that? He keeps going with his story, and his story is gas, car, pulls up, trunk, guy gets out, he hides in the closet, he hears gunshots. And she asked, did the man in the trunk shoot? And he confesses it was everyone else. So she's like, what? He's like, no one shot him. He shot everybody else. So then she goes to the closet and confirms the visibility. So once again, verifying the story, like, okay, you would be able to see from here. That makes sense. But she says that it's not very clear. So do you know his face? Did you see his face type thing? And he says he left first. And she's like, what? How can you leave first when the guy had a gun? So then she wonders how. And he says that he coughed or something, which that wasn't the situation. He saw Philip. But he says that he coughed or something and the guy checked under the bed, which I don't even know how she's going for this, because, like, how would you cough in the closet and the guy looks under the bed? Like, what? Like, the story just doesn't make sense. But, you know, he's trying his best because he really doesn't want her to know that he's gay. And he said after the guy checked under the bed, he hit him and the guy didn't move, so he left and got on his bike and threw the gun into the water. And Helen asked if the killer saw Lucas. He said he isn't sure and that they were just angry. The killer was very angry. And she wants to do a digital lineup. So then we go back to Philip and Lucas. They're reuniting. So they meet up and Philip is checking if Helen's chat was okay. And Lucas shuts it down and just hugs him. Lucas apologizes that he lied because he wanted his dad's approval. But, like, dude, you're willing to sell me out for daddy is crazy. That's just my opinion, though. I would be very upset. I don't like when people get in a relationship and they can't prioritize the relationship. They're too busy trying to, like, validate and do everything else for their parents. Like, are you dating your parents or are you dating me? So then Philip asked him, why did you bring the gun? And basically that's just saying, like, why did you decide to admit to everything and admit that you're going to help me? Lucas says he didn't want Philip to be taken away. And he's worried about Bo being upset because he's like, my dad does not want me to be friends with you. So he's like, I don't want my dad to be disappointed in me. I don't want my dad to, you know, look down on me. Like, I want to have, like, a good relationship with my dad. It's kind of cute, but also really annoying. So Philip says that there's still a secret. So then no one knows about the relationship, so it should be okay. And he's trying to, once again, affirm and validate Lucas. But it's like, Lucas is not doing the same for you. Like, he told you he likes you maybe 2 times, if that. So I was just, like, really annoyed with that situation. Lucas is like, oh, I know my dad will be upset. But it's like, forget about your dad. Like, your dad is not the one who likes you like that. So then he asks Philip if he's going to go back with Helen and Gabe. And Philip just says, I don't know. And he notes that they didn't even try to stop him when he was packing up his stuff or fight for him to stay. Lucas agrees that Helen sucks, but he says that Gabe is really nice, which is true. Gabe is really nice. And he says he's ready to go, and Lucas says he can't because he's like, oh, you know, everything is going like to shit. Like, I'll just go back to the foster home. And Lucas is not going for that, which is like, you don't have the right to have a say what he can and can't do after you put him in this situation. But that's just me. That's just me, because the self-esteem is on the floor. Like, stand up. The whole time I was just like, Philip, stand up, fight. Like, you need to say something. You're just gonna let him do all it. Like, he's just literally walking him like a dog. Couldn't be me. Okay, we continue, and Lucas says that he can't go, and Philip jokes that Lucas loves him, and he punches his stomach to make him feel, you know, the bubblies, because Lucas said, oh, if I like you, then I have a funny feeling in my gut. So he punches him in the stomach to be like, oh, you feel it now? And then they kiss again and they fall over. They're in a barn, by the way, this whole time. Okay, I should have mentioned that. Like, ugh, kissing in a barn, disgusting. Then we go back to Helen. Helen goes to the FBI headquarters, the temporary HQ, which is in like this rundown building again, with the gun, and she asks for fingerprints. And once again, Ryan is trying to probe about Camila. He's like, what's going on? Like, tell me about your sister, blah, 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 blah. And she basically just denies everything and leaves. She has not told anyone that her sister is dead yet. Ryan then collects some rocks and other evidence to drop it into a dam. So this is like all the stuff from when he killed Tommy and Tracy and Bella. So the stuff from killing those three, he takes that evidence and he drops it in a dam inside of a bag. Which is gross. Like, come on, man, we drink that water. Why are you putting dead body stuff in there? Just gross. Okay, so then Lucas comes back and he opens up to his dad. And he flinches because Bo looks scary. Like, he looks like he's gonna beat the life out of Lucas. So Lucas is scared here. I'm scared. And then he ends up throwing a glass. And then Lucas throws away the food that his dad prepared for him. Because obviously he's not hungry. Like, you just terrorized me. Like, oh my gosh. Parents think food is an apology after, like, literally traumatizing you. Whatever. So we come back to Helen. Helen goes again. Basically, she just goes ghost. She was supposed to be talking to people. She is not doing that. And Gabe wants her to talk about, you know, the whole situation with Philip and potentially give an apology. Bo gives Lucas lunch as an apology. Again, what is with this food? Like, bro, just say sorry. And he sees the papers with Mita on them. And he's like, oh, is this the guy? Like, if you recognize this is the guy, it'll make it easy. So he's also like witness tampering without even realizing that he's witness tampering. So then Ryan goes to meet with someone who can promote him. And he says no to the promotion, but not like a real no. It was like a diet no. So there's still the opportunity to like get that promotion, which he doesn't deserve. Like, lock this man up in jail. So we come back to Gabe and Philip talking about the lying conversation when Helen convinced Gabe to turn against him and why he lies for no reason sometimes. And Gabe relates because he's like, maybe you just want people to like you. And he was like, well, you did change your mind. Like, you believed me and then you stopped because Helen convinced you. So he's really not rocking with Helen at this point. Helen is like winning the worst mom of the year trophy. Like, oh my gosh, she's not doing a good job. Then we cut back to Helen and Lucas, and she's doing the digital lineup for him, which is just like some pictures of potential criminals. And he chooses Mitat. So I'm just like, boo, like he's doing this to like obviously make it go faster because of what his dad said that morning, which is just stupid because like you already know that this guy is still out and killing people and you're trying to protect him still. Wild. It's just they both know, like him and Philip, they both know this guy's face. Like they're recognizing of the face, like they're aware. So then Tyler and Helen are, you know, at a bypass. They're like, oh my gosh, like nothing we're doing is working. Like we have all this stuff and we thought we had another breakthrough and it's all just confirming what we already knew to be hella sus and we don't trust it. So then they noticed that Lucas didn't mention his accent because basically Tony was saying how it's so sad that's the situation. And she's like, but what's the first thing you notice about Mita? And they were both like, his accent. I'm like, but he didn't say anything about the accent. So Tony and Helen are like, this is definitely some tampering going on because that doesn't make sense. So then we cut back to the couple and they're biking and they're making some, you know, small talk. So then Philip asks how his ramp progress is going, whatever the heck that means. If he's building a ramp or doing a trick called a ramp, I don't know. I'm not into biking. And then more filming discussions. And then Lucas says he just wants to swim together and he tries to get closure about the killer. Lucas says he's okay. So he's like really dismissive of the whole situation. Like he really does not want to talk about it still. And he splashes Philip with this dirty swamp water. Ugh, disgusting. All I can think of is the brain-eating amoebas when I see that type of water. And he refutes basically, you know, everything. And he's like, let's sit down together. So then we cut back to Helen and Tony. And they're brainstorming on the gaps in the story and like stuff that's not working when Tony gets a call. And it's a call for the knockout weapon. Because remember, Ryan threw away all the stuff in the cabin. So they're like, he said that he hit him with a pot. Where's the pot? So then they're going to look for the pot, but you know, Ryan already disposed of it. So she sends away Gabe and they need to find the pan or pot, whatever it is, in the DNA that's on it. But we already know that it's gone because Ryan chucked it to the dam. Disgusting. Just ruining our drinking water. So then Gabe and Philip help a dog from one of the neighbors and they continue to discuss the case because I guess they're watching the dog since it got some surgery for some treatment. And we cut to Ryan and he's on a polygraph test for that work promotion and he looks very sus and guilty. I don't really care what this whole scene was about because anything that he's doing and like stuff that he's admitted to, like I just can't stand to see him on the screen. It just makes my blood pressure rise. Like literally hate him. And then we cut back to Helen and Tony and they're still looking for the pan. They can't find the pan. They've already searched the perimeter multiple times. So they just give up on it. Then we cut back to Kami and she pulls up distraught over Sita and she's like confiding into Helen and they chat for a while. So Helen wants to have family but thinks it's not for her, like honestly, because she doesn't really want kids, but she's doing it because she thinks having a family will make her change her perspective or like make her a better person, which we know is like not the case. Like you can't have a baby to fix your issues, which I think is why there's so much issues and tension between her and Philip, because she kind of wants a perfect kid and she can't have it. Then we go back to Tony. Tony is at the FBI office and he mentions the pan, obviously, once again to you already know who, and he plays a tape. And Ryan wants to know who that is on the tape giving the confession. So then Tyler almost slips up, but he thinks it's like a check. Like, are you credible? Like, are you a reliable person to be on this case? So he stops and he catches and he's like, hey, like, you almost got me. And he brushes it off. Annoying. It was still enough of a slip up, a motorbike situation in the woods. And that's enough for Ryan to work off. If you know anything about Ryan, his killing ass. So then we go back to Gabe. And Gabe is offering more stability to Philip. Since, you know, Helen isn't there, he can't rely on her to have this conversation. And he texts and he goes to Lucas. Once again, you know, he was having an open heart with Gabe and then he just gets a text from Lucas and it ruined the whole thing. But it's fine. Like, I like when the couple is together, but dude, they irk my spirit. Not they. By they irk my spirit, I mean Lucas irks my spirit. Like, I don't really like Lucas like that. Like, Philip 100, Philip 100, Lucas, like maybe 30. At the end, maybe. But like right now, no. Helen is looking for the pan still, and she brings a phone, and she basically says that she gives up. Ryan also is searching, and he finds out Lucas, because, you know, the bike sponsorship and all the other stuff, he knew the tracks or whatever, so he was able to cross-reference that, and he found Lucas. Boo, I'm so scared for Lucas. So then the couple, they're riding in, and Philip gets off early because they're going to school. Once again, he gets off early so that he can't be seen. He says, I want to see you later, so they're going to meet up later. Kami is still upset, which is understandable. Like, her sister just freaking offed herself. And then she's still with Jake, so she's taking care of Jake, and she gets a phone call and she has a chat. I don't know who the phone call is with, we still don't know. So then after school, Lucas goes with Helen, and Ryan was outside waiting too. He's waiting for, say it with me, Lucas. He's waiting for Lucas. So on the ride home, Helen gives Philip film for the Polaroid camera that Lucas bought him, and they take a selfie together, and she apologizes for her doubt, and she is basically like remorseful for not believing him or doubting him or questioning his integrity. So basically, you know, she's just reaffirming everything and she apologizes. So he accepts her apology and says that it's enough. And she says that she would have never let him leave, which is not true because we already heard the conversation that she had with Gabe where she was like ready to let him go. And he said that the stuff that Gabe told him to reaffirm, like his trust in them, and she did not like that. She hit it pretty well, but it's like, she's like, I don't know why he said you could stay here forever. But that's what her face was saying. Anyway, we go back to Lucas. He's riding around to meet up with Philip and prove that to each other that they're safe. And then Helen pulls in and she chats with Gabe seriously because she doesn't know why he gave all those validations and affirmations to Philip. She's like, why are you telling him he could stay with us forever? Obviously, she's being like a little bit of a B word here. Then we see Ryan's creepy ass. He's pulling up. Oh my gosh. Get rid of him, please. And the couple is kissing in the barn again. Like, why is it always a barn? Just gross. And Philip wants the truth. And Lucas says that he'll lie to others, but not to him, and that he broke up with Rose. He said that Rose said that she didn't like him either, so it's fine. Philip takes a photo of Lucas, and he tells him not to shake it because that's how you ruin the film, and he wants to watch it develop. And once again, they cuddle while they're waiting for the film to develop. It's pretty cute. He says he broke up with Rose since he doesn't want a girlfriend. He doesn't want a girlfriend. I don't want a girlfriend. I want you. So corny, but it was cute. So Philip takes the playlist music that he arranged for them because he knows the type of music that he likes to listen to, and they cuddle and snuggle some more. Whatever. And then we cut back to Gabe and Helen again. They're arguing about her work consuming her entire life and how he's upset with this and it's too much. And at the same time, we hear the dog that they were watching start barking and it goes quiet. His bitch ass then killed the dog. I'm so mad. So then Gabe sees that the dog is silent and he runs to go find the dog. He finds the dog. It's dead because Ryan killed the fucking dog because it was barking. And then he tells Helen and she tries to call Tony as she chases down Ryan. Then she calls Ryan. She calls Ryan to be like, we have somebody who's trying to take out my witness. But little does she know it's literally Ryan. So we pan the camera and see that he's hiding behind a tree. End of episode. Next episode, episode 8. We open with Kami swimming. She's swimming in this pool. And then Ryan shows up. Of course he does. He sees a sucker. He's going to lick it. And he comes up and he's, trying to build intimacy or whatever. I'm not even going to go into all the notes that I wrote here. It's like really annoying. But basically, I'm just confused that she wasn't doubting the whole situation. Because like, how are you here? Like, out of all the pools in this whole town, you come to the same one that I go to at the same time that I'm there. Like, you have to be stalking me. But she's not questioning anything because she's too enamored, whatever. So then he gives his condolences again, which are vague because he's the perpetrator. He killed the sister. Man, he killed Chris. So, like, what are you talking about? They have more conversations. I don't care. They go for swims. Blah, blah, blah. On to the next thing. Basically, he doesn't want her to stay there, whatever. He wants to have a more intimate chat over dinner. Why? Like, what are y'all talking about? So basically, he's asking her on a date because he's like, oh, I can use her. So obviously, he wants to be with her. Because, he likes little kids. So there's no way that he's actually interested in her. We know this. So she's like, okay, I'll get a sitter for Jake. R.I.P., man. And then they race, whatever. Then we come back to Beau's house. Lucas comes down to see Helen and Beau are waiting for him. And Beau tells him to sit down. He looks very upset. Helen mentions the discrepancies with the suspect identification because a dead suspect can't try to kill you. And the man is still alive. And Lucas is worried because, like, once again, you just try to protect some guy and he's actively trying to murk you. So I'm just like, hopefully this, widens him up and he realizes the severity of the situation, whatever. So they're like, that can't be him because he's still trying to kill you. So we're going to get you an FBI protection detail. FBI protection detail. I just wrote LMAO because, like, bro, you're sending the people to protect him who are actively trying to kill him. Whatever. So we cut to Gabe, and he's updating Philip on what they just saw, like, the whole killer. And Gabe shoots down Philip's concern because he's like, oh, the FBI are very professional. They're going to protect you. And Philip is obviously anxious as shit because he's like, they are not going to do enough. Like, what are we going to do? So then we cut back to Lucas, and he's fearing being hunted. And even with the FBI protecting him, he thinks it's not enough. So Helen helps to take his phone and basically get everything set up. But he goes upstairs and he's stressed. So Helen sees a message from Philip and she sees the whole, like, intimate hug and, all that other stuff from the photos, like, because she saw a notification on his phone. And she's like, okay, like, what's going on? Because this whole time she's thinking he's a homophobic bully because he wants to get him in trouble. And he's lying because he doesn't like him. He wants to bully him. But, that wasn't the case at all. So now she's seeing that they might actually be in a relationship together. Who knows? Then we see another one where we cut back to Philip and he's checking for a response from Lucas, but he doesn't realize that Lucas doesn't have his phone anymore. He's getting a dumb phone that's being protected by the FBI. And he wants to make white noise with a pot with, like, running water, and then he, like, tunes out. So we cut back to Ryan and Camilla and their dinner. Whatever, they're on a date. They give each other some compliments. Blah, 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 blah. He talks about her shirt. It's Sita's shirt. Blah, 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 blah. She can't spare anyone, blah, 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 blah. His phone isn't on because he's wanting someone to cover and protect Lucas. And the one he wants to cover is obviously Camilla because he wants to, set her up to take the downfall for it. And his phone isn't on and he's asking Camilla to do it without asking her to do it. So then she volunteers. Oh, he's so evil. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. They continue having a conversation. She volunteers and she says that she'll leave Jake with his aunt, with her aunt, sorry. Bruh, the whole situation, I'm like, you're literally signing away your life to the devil and you don't even know it. He says that he trusts her with the rest. Of course he does, because he knows that she's easy to manipulate. Then we come back to Helen. I don't want to talk about the rest of what Camila and he talked about. It's just not that important, and it's also really annoying. It irked my spirit. So Helen is in the car and she's listening to more of the podcast about parenting stuff. And then we come back to Beau and Lucas, and they're having breakfast, and Beau offers the lucky watch to Lucas to protect him during this time that he's under witness protection. So then we cut back to Kami and Helen, and they're having another, attitude-driven conversation, and they discuss the protection detail and how it's going to be 24/7 with a tracker and everything. And she gets a suggested text from Ryan, his using ass, about, like, her being important to him and blah, 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 because he's trying to, he's willing to fuck her if he's not. I don't know why I said that. He's willing to act like he wants her romantically and sexually to get what he wants, and that's it. Then Helen asks about Jake and if he's okay, and Lucas and Beau come out. She does an introduction between Beau and Lucas and Agent Camilla Davis. And then the couple chat at school because they've been taken to school by Camilla. Not they, but Lucas got taken to school by Camilla, and he's talking about the protection that he has. He complains about the dumb phone, and Philip complains about being in danger since he doesn't have a security detail. So it's like, why are you complaining that you have somebody protecting you? And Lucas zones out. Philip asks again about his safety. Lucas, like, he has a weak stance, and he's like, oh, at least you can stay with Helen. Helen will keep you protected or whatever. Like, he's not very helpful. It's like both of them are anxious, and he's not doing a good job to comfort Philip, like how Philip comforts him. So that's annoying. After that, Philip leaves and Lucas says that they can hang out after school, but then Lucas immediately freaks out as he sees Ryan drive by. Like, he literally locks in on him and he hits the tracker button and Camilla starts to run over. So then back to Tony and Helen, and they're wondering about what the missing piece is that connects all the things on the board together, because they've made like this killer board and they're trying to figure out everything. So then Tony praises her and says that she saved Lucas, and she's upset because she said she could have saved 3 other people, but now 3 kids are dead because it took her too long to realize that all of this was like a red herring. She yells for help about the board and wants him to redo everything and recap all the events. They bicker a lot. Helen gets a call from Camilla and talks about Lewis has seen Ryan or the killer or whatever, however they're referring to them. Helen tells Tony to call Cheryl from Buffalo PD as a sketch artist. Yeah, they'll update Camilla about the sketch artist later. They're not going to tell her directly right now. So then Tony sees an unknown text from Sita's phone. Sita's dead, so like, who's texting her? But if you don't know, this whole time Camilla has been sending voice messages to Sita about coping, and that's her way of like grieving, but that's not what that is. They see a random text from an unknown number. So then Helen and Lucas and Camilla and Bo are looking shaken, like mostly Lucas and Bo, and Helen is skeptical if he saw this killer. Kami like recommends another lineup. Helen doesn't want to sway him. She says no more lineups because he'll just say whatever he thinks is the easiest way to get out of it because he's too flaky. She didn't say that, but that's basically what she said. Once again, they talk about the sketch artist and how she specializes in working with kids with trauma. Camilla's face is like not very good on this moment, and I think this also was pressuring Ryan to go faster because he finds this out as well. So because of Ryan, he gets the update from Camilla about the sketch artist coming in tomorrow. So now he's like, oh yeah, I definitely gotta hurry up and kill him. Like, I'm not gonna let that happen. So it's like very upsetting because like she's just reporting to her boss like she thinks is the best thing to do, but the boss is like actively trying to kill the person she's predicting. So yikes. Gabe is doing something and the key drops. He's trying to cut something and the key under the table drops, the one that Ryan peeled before, the one that leads to Helen's bunker from the Buffalo thing where she was in the like thing just grieving over the pictures. Anytime she's having too good of a life, she does emotional self-harm. He takes the key and he wants to go to Helen's unit and open it up and see what all this hubbub is about. So then the couple goes to the barn again. Lucas is basically upset at Philip's questions because Philip is asking logical questions and he doesn't like that because he's just a little baby boy. He's really annoying me. And he mentions that the phone could be wired because he's like, stop asking so many questions about the killer and stuff. Like, he just wants to have some romantic moments. So the mood breaks and basically they're trying to test if the dumb phone is wired, so they make silly jokes. Lucas says that Philip is obsessed with him and help that he's being attacked by Philip, and Philip was the cabin shooter, which is like such a weird joke to make, like, bro. And then Philip says that Lucas like dicks. So it's like both of them are like funny, but like one is like obviously less serious than the other one, which is true. Okay, so then they push over and kiss some more, and then Philip still has concerns about the killer, and Lucas comforts him that they're safe because they're here, like in the barn. I don't know, like obviously a killer can get to the barn, whatever. And also because of Camilla, because Camilla's is like wherever, she's like right around the corner. So then, Ryan is texting Camilla to verify her shift. He wants to know like when he will be exposed, like when he can get to him. And then Tony is following the lead from Sita's mysterious text, and he calls Helen, and he wants to update her with what he found out so far. And he also wants to get surveillance done on the cameras to see who the person was that she met with, if they could get that information. So then we go back to Gabe, and he's pondering over using the key, and Helen sees him, and they lock eye contact. And then Tony pulls up a USB footage that he got because he went and got it really quickly. And they notice that smell and thinks that it's like a poopery, but he's like, no, this is the cologne that the killer got, like the gift from Rose. So then she's like, why are you using the evidence? He's like, no, I didn't use the evidence. I bought my own to spray so I can get in the mind of a killer or whatever. He's talking about some crazy stuff. And he says wearing the evidence could bring him closer to the case or whatever. And he wants the petty cash reimbursement that they used for Larry. Which, honestly, it's about time, because that was a while ago. She gets up and leaves, and then Gabe comes out, and he's asking for clarity and clutches the key. And obviously, she's like not trying to have a conversation. She's still invested in the case. So he's like, bet. So then Ryan and Camilla are flirting, ill, and then they kiss, ill. There's a sex scene, ill. They do some other stuff, ill. I don't really care. I'm not trying to talk about this. So then she gets up, and she goes to do something, and He checks her phone for the security location and he sends it to his phone. So the data is compromised now. Like he knows where the secure location is. He's very risky. Like he's compromising everything. Like he was able to look over and see how she unlocked her phone, get the pin, and then he's going to enter it. So then he goes to leave immediately after getting what he wants, and she wonders if it's bad that they have decided to hook things up or if they should keep things going. And he says that he had an amazing time or whatever, and he wants to continue it and it wasn't dumb. And they should do it again. And then he leaves because obviously he needs to go kill Lucas. Gabe is in the unit. He went to the storage unit and he goes to open the box. He looks at the box, opens the box, but then he closes it immediately. He chickens out. So then Ryan is at HQ preparing a sniper rifle. And Helen comes in and goes to question him about, you know, a bunch of the discrepancies and the case. So he wants to get clues out of her before he kills her. And she wants more information on the bus and like all the cases and like how they're all interconnected at this point in time. So she shares that they have footage of the shooting and she asks for him to decorrupt the file. And I'm like, what? And he's like, why? Which is super weird. Like, why would you ask, why should we decorrupt the file? Like, obviously you're the FBI, you should be wanting to know who's doing the killing. But he's like, why? He gets his gun ready and he starts closing in. He thinks that Sita was involved in the killing. She's like, yeah, obviously, but we want to see who the whole situation was about because we want to know who the guy in the trunk is since all of this is related. So then they're going to decrypt the video. He wants her to leave, so he'll call her later. She's smart enough to stay. She's like, no, I'll wait. Because like if she leaves this stuff with him, he's just not going to decorrupt it or he's going to corrupt it worse. So obviously it's smart that she stayed because otherwise she would have lost the data. Anytime she's trusted him with something, he's literally ruined it. So then they start to talk and he's taking out his gun. He has this like strap lifted and he's ready to like kill her. And he's upset that she's obsessed with the case. Like she just wants to catch bad guys. He wants to get a thrill. So they were comparing like their reasons for like doing what they're doing. So they sit down and watch it decode and he pokes her like mentally because he keeps talking about the buffalo thing and saying how she's not well. And their small talk just goes on to her telling more about her meeting Dave and how he's good for her and all this other stuff. Skip. I'm not going to read this. They talk about like, he talks mostly about like his whole setup for Bella and how he was able to like rope her in and get her to be in a relationship with him. I don't want to read it. It's honestly pretty gross. Then Helen admits to how she was suicidal after the Buffalo incident and how Gabe saved her life and she had a note and pills and everything ready, but chickened out after meeting him because she knew that he could change her life. And since he makes her laugh and over a silly drink, that was enough to, you know, get her out of that mentality. So then his gun is ready as she's like, oh, it's ready. And he clicks on it to like open everything and like the gun is like literally like right here, right behind her. And they're like zooming in, trying to see the face. And once they notice it's not visible, he puts the gun away because he's like, oh, I don't have to kill her here because everything worked out because the footage wasn't visible. And I was like, bro, you're about to kill her. Like, what the F? So then he preps the sniper after this because she leaves. So he's prepping the sniper. We go back to Gabe and he's drinking. And yeah, he's just really upset. We're talking about Helen and reminiscing when they first met and like how much he likes her. It's like pretty cute. And he wants her to open up. And he says, why did you drink that night? And she basically lies because she can't remember, even though she just told Ryan. Like, how are you opening up to a serial killer, but you won't open up to your man? Crazy. So Philip and Lucas arrive at night and they're going to sleep separately. And the agent is on the porch and he's down the hall and Philip is upstairs. So then Helen tells them about tomorrow's meeting with the sketch artist. Lucas calls Philip and they go to chat. So he sneaks to go to Lucas's room. It's the worst sneaking ever though because Philip immediately gets caught while sneaking down by Gabe. Gabe is like, why is he going to his room? But he doesn't say anything because obviously he knows what's going on probably. So he got caught by Gabe. And then Philip lays with Lucas in the bed and they talk about the coping mechanism, which is water for him. And he says it doesn't really help him solve the issue, but it helps him to forget. And in the morning, everyone wakes up okay. No one died at night. Ryan didn't do anything last night. And then Bo brings Lucas a new bike and they want to go and shoot a video with it. Red flags. Camilla, and she comes with a save and she's like, press X to doubt. No, you only have 10 minutes until the sketch artists arrive. We're not doing that. But they convince her that they only need a few minutes and they'll be right back. So she lets them go and I'm literally screaming no at the screen because we see that Ryan pulls up with his tracker and he goes to set up his sniper shot and his location. And then nobody, quote unquote, they're about to deal with the heroin bust and they're being very vicious. Tommy walks up to Helen and says that it's about to start. And they she introduces her to Cheryl, the sketch artist. They arrive and they, prep for the filming. So by they, I mean the couple. So Philip and Lucas arrive to the jump spot that they want to do, and they're preparing for the filming as Ryan loads up his sniper and he lines up the shot. So Gabe is digging at a spot for the dog, and Cheryl is sketching Helen. And Lucas goes to take the jump, and Ryan shoots him. He falls into the water, and Philip jumps in to pull him out. Kami runs up, and Philip is shook. Like, his whole facial expression is, like, very bad. So then we're now finally on to the 9th episode. Oh my gosh, we're finally here. So we open to like a ambulance situation as they're on their way to the ER. It's very intense, but he's stable. So Helen and Camilla think that the location was compromised, and Philip blames himself since people around him always end up getting hurt. Gabe tries to comfort him. He says that the foster parents, him and Helen, relationship issues are not his fault. He sees Helen and he goes to her. Ryan makes his way in. He comforts Camilla. Like, dude, you did this. What the fuck? I was so annoyed. I'm like, why are you in here trying to comfort people and you literally are the reason for all these deaths, and you try and comfort the people who you've killed their loved one? Like, get out of here. He wants her to tell the family, but it's very small. So he sees like how small Lucas's family is. He feels bad, and or I don't know if he feels bad. Maybe he felt bad, so he leaves. Bo is sitting with Rose, and he tries to chase out Philip, and then Gabe defends Philip. He's like, come on, man, they're close. Like, you need to let him be here. So Rose and Philip have a chat. She says how she knows, and she won't tell, and she comforts him, and so that people eventually stop caring, or she likes him being with Lucas. She thinks that they're a good couple, and then they have huggies. And then Ryan is in the room, and he's taking pictures of the IV fluid. He's going to tamper with it. So then Tony and Helen walk in and want more protection. Helen chats with Ryan, and she tries to sound out his reason to be there, because she's like, why are you here? Like, this is just another attempted murder. Like, he's not dead. Like, there's no reason for you to be here. Like, you're literally a special agent in charge of this case. Like, go back to HQ. She didn't say that, but that's basically what she was saying. She thinks all this is the same guy, and of course he dismisses it because he says, oh, it's not his modus operandi. Dude, shut up. Helen asks Tony if he's slipped up or compromised anything, because he keeps praising Ryan. And the farm is too big for him to be found so easily. And she wants to check Camilla's phone. And, you know, that's basically where the money is. But then we cut back and to Helen and Gabe. Helen and Gabe are having a conversation about Philip being hurt and alone. And she asks if Philip leaked, the location, which is very mean. And then there's a knock, and Tony shows the phone recording, and Philip denies him doing anything or talking to anybody, because he's like, I only talked to Lucas here, so who could I leak it to? And then she asks Gabe to take him to see his mom. And then Helen leaves, and Gabe drops a bar. He says, you might be something to mortar, but you're destroying this family, because she's like literally dismissing everybody and their concerns and like only worried about herself. It's like actually really annoying. She's way too involved in the case. So then we come back to Bo. He's next to Lucas in the hospital, and he makes small talk with him, and he's connecting, and he fears that he's hurting him just by being there. Then we cut to Ann and Philip. So then we snap to the focus on the mom, and she's doing better. And she has phone rights and visitation now because she's been clean enough for that. She doesn't want him to come forward too, because she's like, Lucas is getting better and he'll be taken away if he comes forward. It's her fear, like he won't be able to stay where he currently is. She has valid concerns, but it's like, girl, like, why are you witness tampering? She likes the life that they have and says the area that they're in is good, and the parents that are taking care of him are good because they care. And she doesn't want him to lose what he's built so far by, you know, coming out as a witness and then being relocated. Okay, so then we come back to Ryan in the hospital, the reason why he was there and taking the pictures. He finally takes the IV that Lucas had, and he starts to mix in some drugs with it. So he's in the back of his car trunk, like preparing it and tampering with it. And Helen pulls up. So she tries to clear Camilla, and she blames him and his team and asks him to investigate. And she shows him Philip's call, because Philip is calling her right now, and he recognized the jacket. Oh my fucking God. Like, after all that to get him covered and saved, you out him too. So then Ryan enters the hospital, and he plants the dirty IV, and then he goes to scope out Philip. Helen finally opens up and apologizes to Philip, and they hug. Deserved, honestly. It needed to happen. And then Bo updates them on Lucas and apologizes to Philip. And then he's like, yeah, you can go be with him, whatever. And Ryan is anxious. Fuck you. Like, you deserve to be anxious. I hope you get caught. So then Helen collects the documents, and she sits at home and chats with Gabe and opens up, and she tries to share everything. She touches the box and notices it's been tampered with, and she's right, because Ryan went there and touched the box. So then Gabe takes responsibility because he sees that she's freaking out, because he's like, oh, I went there, like I opened it, but that was it. And he apologizes. And then we come back to Philip. He is close and he's playing the videos, the love videos that he made, the relationship edits for him and Lucas. And he's playing them for Lucas, and then he leans in and kisses him on the forehead. Bo sees this, he's shook and he leaves. We come back to Helen and Tony. Helen and Tony are chatting about the FBI and how, or they're not making the situation better, but they're definitely making it worse because they keep blocking them off and sunning them. So the serial killer doesn't deserve vacation because Ryan is basically trying to get time off. He's like on the internet looking at vacation spots because he wants to leave and get away from it all. Like he didn't cause all this fucking chaos. He blames the cycle and he says he wants to get out of this. He wants to get out, and I'm just like, smallest violin sound put in the Mr. Krabs clip.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
This is serious.
I know. This really is the world's smallest violin. See?
Mr. Krabs, please.
And basically he's talking to Helen this whole time. And he says that he wants to retire after this case because, you know, it's too much for him and he deserves a leave or a break or whatever. I just can't care. He wishes her luck in solving the case because he's like, as soon as we do the bust, I'm leaving. And she's like, she doesn't want his luck, but his help. And he does more sob stories. I don't care. She drops a diamond as she's leaving. She says, go as far away as you want, but you can't outrun who you are. And I put a diamond here because honestly, she's speaking facts. Queen Helen right here. The only time that I'm like, yeah, she's spitting. So she leaves and he closes the laptop. I guess he's not taking that vacation after all. Then we come back to Lucas. Lucas finally wakes up and he immediately asks for his boo. He's like, where's Philip? Where's Philip? So then we cut back to Ryan. He's briefing the team. And Tony has another fanboy moment. Oh my gosh, every time Tony is around him, it's just like so cringe. He's like, oh, he's so cool, he's so awesome. I'm like, bro, this dude is a serial killer. He just keeps killing people. And you're like, oh, he's so cool, he's so awesome. Anyway, Tony and Helen are having more banter and Camilla comes in, heated. Helen tells Camilla when she comes in that the FBI was the one who leaked it. And like, she dropped this and it's a crown. And cut to Philip. He is at the gas station. He's chatting to Gabe after, you know, talking and walking and saying everything's okay. He's worried about Bo's reaction to seeing him kiss Lucas on the forehead. And then, you know, Gabe comforts him and he goes to pay for the gas. Now, as they're doing this, Ryan pulls up at the same gas station that they're currently at. So Philip sees the man and he hides. Then we come back to Tony, Helen, and Camilla, and they're arguing over the leak because they're like, oh, it's not me, it's not me, it's not me. Basically, that's just what they're doing. It's not very productive. And then there are several calls, and then Camilla goes, and then Tony informs that the shooter has been sighted at the gas station. So Helen is confused. She's like, how are we seeing the shooter at the gas station when Lucas is in the hospital? And he's like, oh, because Philip is the one who saw him, because Gabe is the one who reported. So she's like, why does Gabe know what the killer looks like? And, you know, Philip gets outed as a witness as a one. So then she arrives at the hospital and Gabe is exposing the true situation. He reiterates everything that Philip told him, which is everything that we've seen. So he recants the whole event about how they were both in the cabin together. They didn't really go too much in detail about why they were there and the whole situation. Boom, boom, boom. So then, since he is awake, since Lucas is awake, he gets saved from the IV. So because the doctors are coming in or the nurses and they're trying to change the IV in the event that they're like, no, we need to get him out of here, which saves his life because once again, Ryan had a dirty IV set up. He's really like setting everybody up. So like, say that dirty IV did get into him and he died, then it's an innocent person who worked at the hospital who's going to jail now. Just evil. And she calls Tony and warns of the killer incoming, his appearance, and they should set a trap for him. So then they find another room and Gabe tells them to lock it up and keep like their heads down and not be seen. So then the couple is chatting nervously and they talk about how Helen will keep them safe. Yeah, right. So then Lucas questions where Bo is and Philip can't give a clear answer because he doesn't know. He mentions the forehead kiss and how Bo was there to witness it. So then Lucas gets emotional and says, why did he kiss him while he was knocked out? And he says he fears the worst. He's like, oh, by the way, Rose also knows that we're together and she figured it out but won't tell anybody. So now Lucas is genuinely freaking out. And Philip calls out the, you know, internalized homophobia. He's like, Bo will get over it too. Like, everybody will get over it. No one cares that much. Like, it's literally just you. And he finally calls him out because he's like, you're talking about how everybody else here would care. No one will care. It's just you that cares. Then we go back and it's Helen and she's talking, like, she's staging the room, getting ready to intercept the killer. And then she panics and gets flashback from, you know, the PTSD of the situation in Buffalo. So she goes with Ryan and updates him on the spotting. And she ends up outing Philip as she asks for help and safety, even though she's literally going to the killer, asking the killer to keep her kid safe, whatever. Okay, so she's she's talking to him and she's like, oh, we need to figure this out and we need to do a full audit to get everybody who compromised found out. I'm just sitting here like you're bringing yourself on a platter to a python or whatever. Like, please eat me. It's time. That was my viewing of the situation, if she's asking him for help. So then she outs the trap plan too, and she wants him to stay with her. And the couple are joking about Lucas's snoring and his dreams of being together. Philip goes to get Lucas water since he coughed. You know, he literally just got shot in the chest, so make sure that's okay. And then we cut to Ryan asking for location info on the boys. He gets out, and Philip spots him coming in. Helen opens the glove box and sees the cologne, the shades on the back seat, and the hat. And, you know, everything fades out because she realizes, oh my gosh, like the screen is like the shook Mr. Krabs scene where it's like everything is rotating, because she realized that Ryan's the killer. So then we're on to the final episode, episode 10. And Helen, she's locked the fuck in. Like, she's like, oh, it's all coming together. Like, she had her big brain moment. She puts it all together. She quickly updates Tony, and they all set out, and she wants to shut down the whole hospital. She catches Gabe, and since he was Ryan, she's like, where are the boys? He's like, I don't know. And she tells him after alerting the staff. She said, I'll talk to you after alerting the staff. Tell the staff to shut everything down. She sees Ryan leaving and asks where he's going. And he hangs up. He's like, oh, sorry, I got something to handle, blah, blah, blah. He's trying to go kill the boys. So he's not trying to, you know, be with her. And she tells Gabe Ryan is the killer. And Tony hears it too, and he is shook. So then we cut to the couple, and they're getting out of a truck. They hitchhiked a ride. Yeah, they hitchhiked a ride. So then Philip checks on Lucas to make sure he's okay. Philip tells Lucas that Ryan is a cop, and he turned off the phone. So Ryan gets a call from the team as the chief is coming, and he turns it down, and he goes back to Anne's rehab center because Gabe told him that that's where Philip will go. If he's having a hard time, he'll go to be with his mom. Okay, so then the couple continues walking and talking about an escape plan and how they're going to stay at a random motel. So then Ryan confronts Anne, and he's talking about Philip, and he asks her if she knows about the murder, and she denies it, even though she does, because Philip told her, and he asked for the location. And he's suspicious ASF because he's like, oh, I'm a cop and I need to get this information. Like, please help me. And she plays dumb. I love it. She's like, I'm going to protect my baby. This is the last thing I do. So then he plays a sympathy card and talks about how his mom was a drug addict too. Who knows if that's even true? He's probably lying. So he presses her to call Philip and to meet there. He's lost it. Like, it's complete that like he can't handle anymore. And he's probably losing his mind. Anne points out the obvious, and she says that call Sheriff Helen if you want information on Philip. Like, why are you coming here? And he admits that he's the killer and that he can't go to Helen because she'll arrest him. And she says that she won't scream, but he knows that you can tell in her eyes that she knows that he's gonna kill her.
That's great.
It's really sad. Like, I drew a sad crying face because it's so sad. Then we cut back to Gabe and Helen and Tony, and they're reviewing the footage that they got to see when the boys left. They're at the desk with the staff of the hospital, and then they talk about Anne's rehab center, and Gabe mentions it as a safe space for Philip. So then he says that he told Ryan that too, and then the music intensifies because like, you told Ryan about the what? Ryan is overdosing Anne, and you can see her heartbeat stop. Oh my gosh, I don't know how they did that in the editing or whatever, but like literally you saw the pulse going and the pulse stopping. And she's dead, which is really sad. I was so sad because I'm like, bro, come on. She was so good for the plot. So we cut to Helen and Gabe, and they're chatting and trying to get more information. And she says, oh, I'm just going to go rogue because I really need to find the boys and make sure they're safe. Ryan breaks into Anne's apartment, and he texts Philip from her phone and sends her some message about how mommy needs help or whatever. It's really manipulative. The boys are at the motel. Philip wants to call Helen. Lucas says no, and he's tired of the show, and he wants to relax and change the channel, but the channel sucks. So then he's like, oh, can we change to P mode? And obviously we know what P mode stands for. So then Philip is like, what? No. So then he throws the remote away, and the remote already wasn't working, so you know it's broken now. Lucas turns and he drops more lore about his mom and like their relationship. It's pretty cute. And he asks him why he doesn't remember. As he's dropping lore, he's like, I thought you couldn't remember. He's like, oh, I can now. Apparently being with him is what's triggering him to remember his mom, which is really cute. Aw, and then they kiss. Then they take off their shirts, kiss some more, and they want to do some more stuff. They lay down and do some other stuff. Skip. I don't want to talk about it. Helen and Tony arrive at the rehab, but she's already dead and everything's gone. And apparently it's a heroin OD, and Helen points out that she didn't do opioids since they weren't really her thing. And then we come back to the couple, and they're having like a intimate moment, like continue like to comfort each other, you know, bond or whatever. So then Philip calls Helen, and she sends Tony, and they'll talk about his mom later. And she arrives to an empty HQ. Ryan and everybody else is gone. Like, they completely cleared out the house like he told them to earlier. So we go back to Philip, and he wants a label from Lucas. And but he'll be out if Lucas wants to be out. So he's like, I'm willing to be your boyfriend, but I'll be your secret boyfriend if that's what you want. That's basically what the conversation boiled down to. It's kind of like, stand up, bro. Just stand up. Stand the fuck up. So Lucas turns on the phone, and he sees a message from mom. I don't know why he turned on Philip's phone. He was trying to charge it, I guess. And he sees a message from mom. So then he's like, okay, I'm just going to go. You wait here. And Lucas is like, bro, I'm not going to let you go by yourself, obviously. So then he goes with them. So now they're both walking into the trap. Ryan sees the on my way text, and he's getting prepared. So then as the police arrive at this motel, the boys are already gone because obviously they went to go to Anne's house. Gabe pulls up on Bo, and he's grieving his son being gay. Like, what the fuck? So that's the reason why Lucas didn't know where he was, or Philip, because he's like crying about his fifis because he's mad his son is gay. And he chats about Sally Laura, who is his late wife. Blah blah blah. We'll continue. So Helen pulls up on Kami, and she's very upset. And she informs her of the setup and how Ryan is trying to make her take the fall. And, she's like, what? There's no way. And she's like, the boys are missing. And she's spitting a bunch of facts at Camilla about how he's using her. And she is shook. But it's like so obvious. So then Camilla admits that she's scared of being a parent. And the boys arrive and they see Ryan. Then we go back to Helen and Tony. And they're intercepting the bus. They're trying to make sure to deal with the Vescovis. And whoever is left on Mitat's team is there. So then we come back to the boys, and they are knocked out in the back of the trunk, which is super bold. So we come back to the chief, and he's briefing them because basically Ryan brought them to the new meetup that he's having with the FBI HQ. And the chief briefs Ryan, and he's out of it. He coughs up something, spit, who knows. Like, he's completely like shutting down because he's been doing way too much, trying to do all this killing. So then Helen pulls up. He tries to de-escalate the situation because he knows that she knows, and she wants him now and alive. She drags him for filth, and he wants to continue the whole situation. So things pop off, and, people pull out weapons, and they're very aggravated because they want to arrest him, but, he is still in a high position in the FBI, so people are like, why are you being so, aggressive towards him? So then we go back to Philip in the trunk, and he's waking up, and he starts to call for help, but at this moment, the squadron cars from the FBI are pulling out to go do the bust on the Vescovis. Ryan gets in the car and he pulls off. Helen runs too. She goes back to her car and she follows him. She's chasing him down. It's pretty intense. They're on a high-speed race. Ryan is upset and he's like, oh, well, how am I in this situation? Like, that's what his face says. But I'm like, what did he expect? Like, he's killed 6 people at this point. Like, please lock him up. And he gets out and he has a gun drawn and he's going for the boys. Lucas is still knocked out, so he grabs Philip. Tony and Helen pull up shortly after this, and they take Lucas out the trunk, and they put pressure on his wound, and they call in for support and call an ambulance. She argues to go alone, and she calls for Philip. Philip calls back. Ryan has him at gunpoint. Ryan lets him go. He has some more manipulation about how he won't hurt her boy, whatever that means. And she opens up about the baby that she killed in Buffalo. Philip looks so stressed in the background. I'm going to insert the screenshot that I got of his face where he's like, it was like Pog face meme. And she wants him to be better like she did. He apologizes, so does she. I don't know why. And he pulls out a gun, so she shoots him 2 times in the chest. Pog face again from Philip. It's really funny. And he's done. Like, he's done and dead. He fell over. She takes the gun and realizes it wasn't even loaded. Like, the clip was literally not inside of the gun. Or the mag, sorry. Ooh, Charlie reference.
You have there is not clips. These are mags. They're mags, not clips, you absolute fucking dummy.
The mag was not inside of the gun. So he wanted the easy way out. He didn't want to go to jail. He didn't want anything to blow up. So he wanted her to kill him. So then Bo tells Lucas he loves him as he pulls up and sees that he's getting the compressions done. He's being taken care of. And then Gabe runs over to see that Philip and Helen are safe and they're coming, out of the situation. And yeah, everything seems good. So then we have our time skip. Okay, so then there is a time skip of about 1 month. We have Philip and Helen talking about their plans with his mom in the funeral and stuff. She hugs him and he cries. And they have some more chats about, everything that's going on and, everything that he's dealt with and how she'll leave the evidence at the station because they were unpacking the rest of his stuff that I guess was with the social services or at his mom's house. It's really sad, but they're going to work it out. So she decides to leave the evidence at the station. They have a lunch chat. Philip dips because he has a date with his boo thing. The keys are lost. So Helen doesn't have her keys. Gabe doesn't have his keys and Philip doesn't have his keys. But at this moment, Lucas pulls up and, they said that they might not come back for dinner. They pull in for a kiss and then hug, and then, you know, the starter is out, so they have to push the bike and run, which is so lame. Lucas claims he dreamt about Philip and they were on a bike and how the public kiss that they just had is like deja vu. So then Philip calls him an idiot for misusing deja vu, and he said that he made up the story anyway for giggles. So once again, lying like shit. And then they run and push the bike and they head to the Red Hook party. And Lucas quotes Bo. It was a corny quote. I'm not even gonna include it. And then more from Gabe and Tony. They're discussing getting the keys back. And then my final note is, wow, this is just as good as I remember. So that is my full recap and review of this show. It's really gonna take me a really long time to edit this, so please have patience. But just know, like, a lot of passion and research went into this. Like, I literally wrote 37 pages of notes, and I'm talking about in my journal. So this is like dense, like, oh my gosh, all of this full page notes, like 37 pages exactly. I didn't skip any. Can you see this? I didn't skip any. So, like, it's just a really good show. Like, it's very in-depth. I like the character creation. I like the world building. I like the interpersonal issues that are going on. I like all the plots, some more than the others. My favorite is definitely the B plot with the main couple, then the A plot, then the C plot, and then the D plot. And I just want to say, like, if you have not seen Eyewitness, like, no matter how much I summarize this, like, it's not going to compare. It's like the full drama. It's like, please watch it. 10 out of 10. Recommend. I'll include anything else that I want to say about the video afterwards, but for now I'm going to say sorry for not looking at the camera. Sorry, I kept getting distracted by the viewfinder. That's why I usually keep it hidden for myself, but I'm gonna say peace out and bye. We come back to Philip and oh, okay, it's okay. Yeah. So then Tyler, who's Tyler? Sorry, I'll play his name later. I feel so bad about calling nobody.